Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the first in a brand new series known to be about interviewing content creators and people within the industry, in the theme park industry, and sort of get their thoughts on certain topics. So today we're focusing on something we've touched on in a previous theme park newsroom episode, and that is the Giga Dive Coaster that's set to come to Six Flags Over Texas in 2026. And I've got a special guest that's going to help me talk about this, share our thoughts on this, and really go into a bit of detail. It is, of course, JB Thrills, whose pictures, construction pictures, I shared in that newsroom update. JB, thank you so much. Josh, thank you. Welcome to the show. How are we doing?
Doing pretty good. So happy to be part of this, and I'm really excited because Texas, it's a pretty good state, and I'm super happy we're getting a big coaster like this, especially nearby.
Absolutely. And I'm so looking forward to seeing the announcement from this probably at the back end of the summer. So let's go straight to the start then, because obviously we discussed in the news update what's going to be replaced by this dive coaster, and that is El Diablo and La Vibora. So let's first of all talk about El Diablo, the Lawson Superloop, only there for a few years. I mean, it seems like not many enthusiasts are going to miss El Diablo. Let's put it politely. What's your kind of thoughts on El Diablo?
So yeah, me personally, I'm not gonna miss it too much. A lot of us didn't, and that's because El Diablo had like a very bad track record of always breaking down. I don't know why. I think the way it was designed, how slow it goes, and even when it was open, I have a lot of friends who didn't like it because it went super slow. Most arsenals go pretty fast, they swing you around. This one didn't. So, my only negative that I wish they could have done is maybe like put it in a different location because it's still kind of a new ride. They could have saved it. But hey, for a Giga, I'm not complaining too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, there's no complaints from me. Trust me, if we started Enterprise at Alton Towers and they turned around and said, "Hey, we're getting rid of Oblivion and Enterprise and submission for a Giga Dive coaster," I ain't complaining either.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the big closer out of the two, and that's La Vibora. Such a historic roller coaster. It's been a part of Over Texas since 1986. I mean, this classic bobsled coaster. I mean, what are your memories of La Vibora? Because to you guys over in the States, that's like your Grand National here in the UK or your Big Dipper. It's like your centerpiece icon of coaster history in the States.
Yeah. Well, for that, in that situation, I love La Vibra. It was a good ride that like was my childhood attraction. Everyone knew that ride. It was like the one you see when you walk in. My only wish is they could have like done like a final closure or something because that ride actually didn't have any technical issues. It was the only ride I feel like was always open almost every single day, more reliable than Mr. Freeze or even Texas Giant sometimes. And though, I mean, unless it rained, but like that makes sense because it's a bobsled coaster.
Yeah.
But it was always operating, and I feel like if the yeah was like a final goodbye, it would have been nice. I would have been able to ride it one last time, get more footage. However, the ride experience wasn't all too good either. It was also known for like most of us joked around and called it like this like it would basically be our chiropractor ride because that second drop you would just slam so hard onto the track that you're just your spine is cooked. But I mean, it was still fun though. I thought it was so cool that it was just without a track, and also I loved its short height limit, so it was something for the families to enjoy, and it fits so well with the theme. So I'm really curious to see how this Giga Dive will fit in with that whole Spain area because that ride was very, a centerpiece for that land.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that after watching like people's reviews on it over the time, and I always see for those of you who are out in America who want to ride a bobsled coaster, come over to the UK and try Avalanche at Pleasure Beach. But yeah, Levy Bora was a classic ride that's got so many memories. But of course,
Yeah.
as we said when the corkscrew got removed for 13 back in 2010, onwards to the future, looking for that next big thing. And it seems to be a record breaking 300 plus foot Giga Dive coaster. That is what is set to open next year over Texas. We've started to see the track come on site. You sent the pictures. I showed them on the newsroom episode. I've had a chance to look off camera at these construction pictures. This is going to be just incredible. I mean, what was your early kind of first reaction when you heard the news that they are getting a dive coaster, a giga dive coaster potentially next season?
So for me, I found out like right away. I was one of the first people to find out right away, and that's because I'm very involved with the news for over Texas. And
Yeah.
I was looking for permits, and I had a like I knew when they said record-breaking dive along like back in 2024, I knew immediately it was going to be Giga. Like I just knew because I've been saying this, and people from my channel know. But in 2021, I was saying we could get a Giga because if they were trying to cram a Giga for Knott's Berry Farm, I was like, why couldn't we? We don't have height limits. We got plenty of space. Send the Giga over here. I didn't think it would be a dive coaster, but as soon as it said record breaking, I was like, it's definitely the height. It's definitely the height. And when I found the permits on the FAA website and it said 309, I was like, let's go. We got a giga. My home, my home park got a big coaster because for the Over Texas fans, we're also extra excited because it's our first ground up original coaster since Titan in 2001. We've only had clone attractions since then.
Wow.
So this is a big deal. It's a very big deal.
It's a signature piece of news. It's like coaster history right here in Texas. And Texas,
Yeah.
like you said, you knew straight away pretty much from looking at the first permits it was going to be a giga, and it's very Texas because Texas is very go big or go home. So that's the kind of mentality I was kind of thinking straight away when I heard this record-breaking dive coaster was going in next season. Do you think it's the right fit for over Texas, or do you think that they could have gone with a different style of roller coaster? Do you think that a Giga Dive was the right decision?
I say yes and no. Like in the
Okay.
beginning, I was kind of like, oh man, it's a dive. But then again, the more I thought about it, I was like, in reality, it's perfect for over Texas because one, it's perfect for capacity. Like we needed a good coaster with good capacity. And then based on the rumors that I've seen of the layout, what I'm predicting, like how it'll be, um, this is going to be a huge coaster. I think people are really underestimating how crazy this coaster will be. I mean, like literally just this week, they expanded the construction zone even further and also even went across the street to use the empty grass to store more track because of how big it is. So I'm like,
Wow.
I think this dive will be the biggest dive we've ever seen. And for that, I'm like, hey, I'm not complaining. I was only worried that it was just going to be a one-trick pony. They were just going for the height and that's it. But based on the current updates and everything, I think they're going for everything. They want a custom layout. They want, crazy inversions. We can only know, but I'm more excited now than I was for sure.
And isn't it surprising that over Texas is going to one up Six Flags Magic Mountain here and do something they've not done yet? Like, are you surprised that your park over there in Texas is actually doing that over Magic Mountain other than Cedar Point?
Most people are. I'm not actually. I'm not. I was like, over Texas has had potential for years to do this, and I'm so happy they're finally realizing that because we have a lot of people moving to Texas. So we got the World Cup next year in 2026. So why not give us a big coaster? And they totally did it. So I'm super happy for that. And then it is crazy to think about that we're gonna have taller coasters than Magic Mountain or sometimes even Cedar Point. So I'm like, dude, I'm excited to see it for the future now because I live only 10 minutes away from Six Flags Over Texas. So I'm happy.
Then there's me who's going to take an absolute massive flight over. Uh, but um, but yeah, this coaster. I mean, it's very clear it's going to dominate the skyline for the park forever. I mean, this is going to be an absolute game changer for the park. We know that for a fact. The big mystery, and we're going to talk about this in a future newsroom episode as well, is the name and the theme for this ride. Now, I'm going to share my thoughts on it in the newsroom episode that will come up in about a week or in the next week. What's your kind of early predictions, or what do you think you've heard in terms of a name, theme, and brand perspective, or a storyline perspective? How do you think they're going to market this?
Well, it's funny you say that because I was making a video about a prediction. So a lot of fans on my channel, they know I make a lot of predictions, and sometimes they're pretty accurate, like the Giga. And so for this one, I've noticed that with Jeffrey Siebert, he's really well known for teasing and everything, and he's very cryptic, but you can also figure it out if you look really closely. And one major hashtag they've had that revolved around this dive was hashtag drop the gate. And
Mm.
most people were like, what in the world is that? What does that even mean? In the beginning, I thought it meant it was going to be towards the park entrance because there are markers there. And I feel like it's going to be a Fury 325 situation where the coaster goes over the entrance. However, as I was thinking about it more, I realized that in rodeos and in bullfights and stuff, a key phrase or key insinuation is when they open the gates for the bull to get set loose. They always say,
Ah.
drop the gates, and they open the gate for the bull to get set loose. If you think about it, that totally aligns. The track color is a brownish kind of gold, which can be a bull kind of color, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Spain area, Spain area is known for running of the bulls and bulls. So I feel like there'll be some sort of connection to a rodeo or running of the bulls. And as for a name, I still don't know yet. Uh, there's a lot of potential names that have been out there. All I'm saying is I think it'll be a name that's pretty catchy and pretty short. People said something like Caída de los Bulls or something like that. I feel like it'll be shorter. It'll definitely be
It,
shorter so people can say it.
how much do you think it's going to be El Toro?
If they went with that, that'd be crazy. I feel like the Great Adventure fans would be really upset because they have a promise coaster for 2026 too, and it's just crickets over there. And then on top of that, we're gonna steal their name. Oof, we're gonna get jumped by them
that's
if that
just rubbing
happens.
that's just rubbing salt in the wounds at this point. Um,
Yeah,
Obviously, we know that a lot of track's been stored on site or is planned to be stored on site again. We know there's probably going to be some good elements in this ride, some really great elements for airtime, G-force. Is there any inversions or any potential elements that you're thinking is going to be on this? Because kind of my early indications is probably an Immelman or a dive loop, at least one of them, potentially both. I also think we're going to have two drops, potentially three. And I also feel like we could potentially even have a splashdown element, depending on how it goes.
yeah. No, I could definitely see any of those as well. One of the main three rumors and elements that I've heard was the first one, a tunnel, like the very first drop, you go straight into a tunnel, and instead of going into an Immelman, the rumor is that you would come out with an airtime hill, then go into the Immelman. I think that make a lot of sense because it's a Giga, so they wouldn't want you to go straight up with Immelman, maybe too much cheese or something. And I feel like the airtime hill would also be a great way for it to go over the entrance, especially like lining up with all the markers I've seen. And then the other rumor is that it goes even further towards Texas Giant and Titan in that grassy area. And if they do that, apparently they want to do a element kind of like Fury 325 with a treble clef element. I don't know how that would translate with a dive or Giga dive coaster, but I think it's very probable because they might want to incorporate Giga related elements with a dive coaster.
Mm. I would love that. I would love that Fury 2 because I've seen POVs of that element and I've seen like shots of that element. That looks insane. Like we don't have the
I've
privilege of having that on any of our hyper or giga coasters. We don't have a giga coaster really over here. So
uh,
like in a hyper coaster, we don't really have that kind of element. So I'm kind of always surprised when I see pictures and videos of Fury 325's particular elements. So I'm kind of interested to see how it works on a dive coaster.
I've ridden it, and let me tell you, it's crazy that I've ridden Fury 325, and that treble clef element, the airtime on the top of the hill is absolutely insane. So I feel like this dive will be the first one we've seen that has actual impactful airtime. So hopefully that is true.
Do you think it'll break the record for the most inversions in the world on a dive coaster?
They totally could. If it's really as big as people are saying it is, and it might be, they could totally do that as well. They might want to go for the steepness record. I don't know if they want to because Wrath already kind of has that. How much deeper can you go? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
height, they could go for, fastest in Texas or something. Most inversions, totally. They could do. There's a lot of potentials they have. We never seen a gig of that before.
Yeah, it's going to be just mental. I mean, I spoke on the newsroom episode recent days about it looks like the bolts for the track that we've seen on site on the construction site, it seemingly is swaying to less of a 6-7 row car and more like an 8 to 10 row car, a bit like more of a sheep crew or a griffin. Are we seeing Bolliger and Mabiar potentially modernizing the Colossus dive coasters like the original Oblivion, Sheikra, Griffin, those kind of big dive coasters? Are we seeing potentially B&M go into a new era for those type of dive coasters potentially?
I say absolutely because when I was looking up there with the track, I got to see it right in person in front of me. And I've also seen the track of Cliffhanger whenever they were building it by itself. It's definitely way larger, way more bolts. And I feel like it will be the 8 to 10 range of seats. And then again, like it's a good dive. So if you have 10 seats and 3 rows, like a normal dive coaster, that'd be 30 people that can ride it in one train. And they're probably gonna go with 3 to 4 trains. I don't
Mm.
know. That would be a capacity like that would be perfect for capacity. So I could totally see him do something like that. And also 10 seats makes it more cool because you have two people riding in the front and they can get a first view of the drop. That'd be really sick. Yeah.
And I guess finally, then, I mean, let's talk about like what impact this is going to have long term for Over Texas, because obviously we know that this won't be the last big investment they ever make. We know there's plenty more in the pipeline. What do you think the future is for Over Texas post Dive Coaster 2026? If we start looking ahead of 2026,
I say the future is bright. I mean, number one, we have recently found out that Jeffrey Siebert, the really great park president in charge of Fiesta Texas, is now in charge of Over Texas. He's the regional, I think he's manager region, but he's a regional in charge of the whole region of Texas. And I can tell that he's already wanted to put a lot of care into Over Texas. I've met him. He's a super great guy, loves Six Flags, loves to put in care into theme parks. And so he's going to do the same thing for this park. I could see them go theming wise, just tons of upgrades over there. Coasters wise, we've needed new coasters. So I feel like very soon we've had a lot of empty spots that have just been left around. And I feel like now they can finally utilize it. Like we have an abandoned area next to Joker where the Harley Quinn attraction used to stand. We have an abandoned stadium we don't use, tons of parking space. So they could always add more in the future. And I feel like with more people moving to Texas, more events happening in Texas, the Giga Dive attracting everyone to come to Texas. I can see them investing a lot. It'll be a Carowin situation, how they got Fury and now it became a big deal.
wow, so plenty of excitement going around for Six Flags Over Texas there. Josh, thank you so much for coming on this series. Much appreciated. Of course, all of you out there, make sure you go and subscribe to his channel. Links in the description down below. I think you're on the road to 11K, aren't you?
Road to 11K. Yeah, we recently hit 10K. It was crazy. And then now we're just trying to shoot for 50K by the end of the year. Can we do it? I have no idea, but hey, it's all up to the viewers and supporters.
Well, the theme park community supports everyone, so make sure you go and subscribe to JB Thrills in the link in the description. If you have enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe to Coach Chall as well. We're on the road to 3K and 1 million views. Make sure you hit the
Subscribe to
like button.
him. He got
Thank you very
amazing news,
much.
guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Keep up to date with 24/7 news, and we'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Take care. Have a great theme park tastic day.